Okay, in this video I'm going to show you how to make a counter for your crystal that you pick up to destroy the poison gas. Now the thing is, I tried this several times and I'm not sure why it's not working. I was able to do it fine for the shotgun and the blast gun at the top, but with the counter for the crystal, you can see at in that blue square there on the right hand side, and it's kind of covered up a little bit, there's a 0 there. That's going to be the counter for the crystal, but I'm not going to show the number because for some reason GameMaker is not, I don't know, there's some kind of glitch in it or something I cannot fix for some reason. So I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. You can stack them in this game, I'm going to talk about that, but you just can't show the number of items you collect. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So I'm going to go and collect the crystal. Now you see that 1 there. It's kind of hard to see it because it's kind of covered up. I'll grab another one. So he grabs 2 and it shows a number 2 there. Now the reason why I'm not going to fix that number because I'm not going to show that number later in the game, but I'm just going to show you what happens. Okay, so I want to use the crystal. See how it went to 0? It shouldn't go to 0. It should go to 1, and then I can use it again, and see now it's -1. So I don't know why it's doing that. And then I'm supposed to collect 1, but now it's a 0, so that don't make sense. And then it's gone. So rather show the number, I'm just going to have it not show, because he does kind of stack them when you collect. I mean, he does stack them. I mean, you're collecting 1 at a time, and it does work, but the number doesn't work when it shows there. I don't know why it's doing that. I mean, I'm sure my code's probably wrong somehow, but I don't know why. I mean, I've looked at it and I've tried to mess with it several times, and I don't know what's causing it not to work. So what I'm going to do is go in the object crystal out. That's where I had a line of code. That's where I had a line of code for to show the counter. I'm just going to grade that out. So I went to the draw event and then I graded it out by putting the 2 slashes. That's what it was before. 500 is talking about the location of where it's going to be positioned at, so X and Y coordinates. But I want to take it out because for some reason the number thing is off. I don't know why it's off. So I'm not going to show the number, but he is allowed to stack it. And everything else here I'm not going to talk about because I talked about that in my previous video. This is the only line of code that I added new in here I'm going to talk about for the draw event now. So you can see here that I have 2 boxes, and these are represented as the crystals. So each crystal he collects 1 at a time. So when he goes to the pink box, I have it set up for score. I mean, for the other counters for the weapons, I have a code for it set up, but in this case, since I don't have the score, I use score for another counter. So I went to, and like I said, I copied what I did for my guns with using code, and it didn't work either. So I tried a different method, which was the score, and that didn't work either. So I don't know why it's not working correctly. So in the score tab here, I dragged one of the set score in here, and then new score set to 1, and make sure it's set to relative. So when he collects it, he's going to collect 1. And do the same thing for your end player. This is for your player for the next room because you want to have a different atmosphere, you want to have a different scenery, so you got to have a different, you got to make a new player, because it's all the draw event stuff for it to look different is in the player event. So that's why I had to make a new player. So you got to do the same thing you do for the object player, you do for the end player. So it's same thing. New score 1, checked relative. That's all I did there. Then in the crystal, when it shows the crystal pop up in the box, it's going to do all this stuff. This is all the new stuff here. So you add a else statement, then a start block, and then you're going to have another one set score. So you're going to basically, the new score, you're going to say -1 and then say checked relative. So this means that it's going to decrease the number that you have that you collected. So you collect it and then you use it. So you're using one, so it's going to drop down 1 at a time. So if you have 2, it's going to drop down to 1, and then you use the 1, it's going to drop to 0. So that's what's happening here. Then you end block, then you have another else statement, then another start block, then you're going to have a test score. So you're going to say value is going to be 0, and then the operation is going to be smaller than. Now, in my other code, I think I had it set for equal to, but I changed it to smaller than because apparently it works. It works using the smaller than. It works kind of the correct way if you don't show the image of the number. All right, and then if you have 0, then it's going to go back to it's going to basically change the object crystal box to object crystal out. So once you have no more crystals left, it's going to change this box icon to being empty. Alright, and that's it for that. All this information right here is talked about in my previous video, where if you have a gun, it's going to switch to the crystal. If you have the other gun, it's going to switch to the crystal. So I'm not going to talk about that. And another thing with GameMaker that I noticed that there's kind of a glitch is that if you press enter, if you press the enter button, wait until the crystal is completely gone out of your hand before you press enter again. Because if you press enter twice quickly while you still have the crystal in your hand, you're going to use both crystals up if you have collected 2. I don't know, it doesn't make sense, but you press enter once, let the crystal die off in your hand, then press enter again and use it for the second time. Because if you collect 2 and you press enter rapidly real quick, it's going to use both crystals up and you're not going to even see it happen. It's like, wait a minute, what? And it's going to happen, it's going to be the same timing too. You know, it's weird because you think it'll last longer in your hand, you press it twice, but it doesn't. It's going to last the same amount of time as if you used one, and it's going to waste both your crystals. So it's kind of weird. I don't know why the glitch is there, but just press enter once, wait until the crystal's gone out of your hand, then press enter again to use it the second time if you have collected a second crystal. I don't understand that. The only thing I can think of doing is maybe adding some kind of timer in there. So you press enter, and then you have to wait. Then you basically have to estimate, okay, how long is the crystal going to be in my hand before it disappears? So you estimate like 4 milliseconds, it disappears. Then you can you could potentially use a timer to basically state that once you press the enter button, you can't press enter again until the timer ends, and then you can use it again if you have it the second time. I'm sure you probably could do something like that, and I may do that next video. Use a timer maybe to fix that issue with pressing the enter button twice real quick. So I might try to fix that up. I don't know, but that's kind of like a glitch that Game Maker did. You gotta wait until the crystal's out of your hand first, then press the enter again. Otherwise, you waste both crystals if you collect two of them. It's weird. Okay, so let's move on here. So we talked about it decreasing and then switching back to. Then it switches back to crystal out. When that happens, then we've already talked about everything, but like I said, once crystal's out, then you'll have the knife again. So once your hand is empty here, it's going to switch back to object hand. And in my other video, I think I had an else statement here, and I also had object underscore crystal out over here too, which I took this information out and put it into after your zero, then it goes to crystal out. And you have to have that in there. You can't not have a switch in here. So once you have zero, then it's going to switch the crystal to crystal blank box. And like I said, in the crystal out on the hand, I took out the else statement and the switch where it switches the crystal into empty box. In this location, I took this out because this information, it was required you put it here pretty much for it to work right. So like I said, this crystal in box to crystal out of the box was moved from the empty hand, because I had it in the alarm 0 where I had the else statement, and then I had switch crystal box to crystal empty box. This was removed and put into this location right here for this code to work for stacking your crystals. Okay, and I think that pretty much explains everything. And another thing that there was like a glitch on that I couldn't really fix is when you collect each crystal, this tagline is going to duplicate on top of each other. Now you don't really notice it, but it happens. Every time you collect the crystal, it shows enter to use crystal, enter to use crystal. And I know I talked about where you destroy, every time you click a weapon, it's going to destroy the other message. But in this situation, since I'm collecting the same crystal box, I can't destroy the other tagline. The only thing you could potentially do is make a new box that you collect a crystal in. So essentially you would have a new item, but it would be still a crystal, and you would delete the other message when you collect it. But that would be extra work. You have to keep making boxes and destroying the message from, and you have to just keep destroying each particular message. So this would say enter to use crystal, but it would be under a different object, and it would destroy that particular message. But you would have to make a new crystal box, you know what I'm saying? Unique crystal box for each one. When you collect it, then it would destroy each tagline, because each one has its own unique crystal message with a new object information. So like I said, you would have to keep making these. You have to keep duplicating this pink box and having the object player and object in player, and keep doing the draw and create event. You have to make each unique one of these square boxes to keep destroying each message, and that wouldn't make sense. That would take up time, and it's not really a big deal, because like I said, you have to do that in order to destroy each message by itself. You have to make each box its own unique object, and that would take too much time in order to destroy each crystal message. And it doesn't really it doesn't really show when you do it. So I'll show you real quick. It doubles on the text, but you can't really notice it. So it's not really a big deal. So when you collect one, collect another, see, it's kind of, you can see it duplicate a little bit on each other, but, and see now you don't see the text on there, but when you press the enter button, it works nicely. So you has two, see, now it's gone. So you had actually collected two, and then it disappears after you use both of them. And like I said, you got to press the enter button and wait until you use it up, and then press the enter button again. Otherwise, you're going to use it up real quick. I don't know why GameMaker does that. Alright, so you collect another one, then you use it, and see it's gone out of your box because you already collected the one. If you wanted to do more, if you wanted to basically, when you collect the crystal, you could change this to like 5 if you wanted to. If you didn't want to do 1, you could change this to 5, then change this to 5. So like I can change this to 5, change this to 5. I don't know if it works correctly, we'll see. It should. That's all you have to do. Just change these two. When you hit that pink box, just change this to 5 or whatever you want. 10, 20 or whatever. Let me see if that works. So if you didn't want to collect 1, you could collect 5 when you collect 1 crystal, but hopefully it works. It should. I don't know, it's kind of weird. Alright, so I'm going to collect that. Let me see if I can do it 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's not working right. 6. So you get 6. It doesn't make sense. See what I'm talking about? It doesn't make sense. When you use it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, that don't make sense. You collect that one and you collect 5. The first one you got 6. So that's why you don't want to have a counter, because it's gonna look messed up for some reason. I don't get it. I really don't. So it seems to work better with 1. And you could, I don't know, it's weird. I would just stick with 1 because it seems like it works better with 1. So you could stack them, like I said, and you could collect both crystals, and you would potentially get 12, or no, 10, I'm sorry. I don't know what I'm saying 12 for, because I'm still stuck on 6. Now you could collect, that's 5, that's 5, one, 2, 4. Yeah, I don't know. It seems to work. See, you can stack them. See, it doesn't make sense. See how I know I had at least 5 or 6 more, and see, it didn't work. So I would just stick with 1. And I think, yeah, make sure it's set to persistent, because when you move to the next room, you want to still have the same amount of crystals, pretty much. So like I said, I would just go here and make 1, because it seems to work with 1. I don't know why it's not doing 5. Well, it does 5, but in a weird way it does 5. When you collect the second one, it does 5, not the first one. So I'm just going to do one more thing here. I'm just going to go to the next room, make sure it works, which I'm sure it will, because I have it set to persistent. I think I actually have to make the counter. Hold on, I forgot to do one thing here. I forgot to mention one more thing, which is making the counter persistent. Or is it persistent? Oh, it's persistent. Hold on. And the object crystal, okay, set to persistent. Make sure that's set to persistent because you have the counter in here. It should work. I don't know. Like I said, I feel like I did everything right with the counter, and I don't know why GameMaker didn't do it correctly. You can see up here with shotgun and blast, they work fine. I don't know why it's not working right for the crystal. Just don't show the text for the counter, and you should be okay. Pressing the wrong button, that's why it wasn't working. Yep, so it works fine. See, you collected 2 and you used 2. It's not playing the audio because I have the sound off. Everything's working fine. Okay, so that's how you stack crystals in your game. Like I said, just stick with 1. You collect the crystal, you just get 1. And don't show the text for the counter, and you should be okay. Thanks for watching.